Hello, and thanks for joining me for NCIA's weekly episode of NCIA Today. I'm your host, Bethany Moore, NCIA's Deputy Director of Communications, checking in with you every Friday with updates on what's happening in the cannabis industry and here at NCIA. All right, let's get right to it. We've been following the recent Senate draft bill introduction, and our team in DC has been diving in with their highlighters to analyze what's in it. We'll check in with Michelle Rutter-Freeberg, our Deputy Director of Government Relations, to hear more about what they're finding in the draft. But first, as we prepare to host our own award-winning trade shows starting this September, NCIA's own Amy Rose will be attending the MoCan BizCon and Expo in August. So be sure to say hello. Amy will be in St. Louis, Missouri on August 11th and 12th, and tickets are on sale now at mocanbizcon.com. All right, without further ado, let's check in with Michelle Rutter-Freeberg from our Washington, D.C. office to hear more about the details of this new Senate draft bill. Hello, Michelle. Nice to check in with you again after just a week. How's it going?
Hey, Bethany, good to be back. It's been a busy week, but always wonderful to be here checking in with you.
Absolutely. I hope you've had a chance to take a breath because I know last week was a really busy, exciting week with that new Senate draft bill. So how's it going?
Yeah, like you said, it's certainly been a really, really busy week, but it's been exciting nonetheless. We're definitely getting, all of our ducks in a row, all of our infrastructure, if you will, in place, since that's such a hot buzzword right now. We're getting all of our infrastructure in place for all the exciting things that are yet to come, but definitely been a busy week or so. I'm like, how much time has it been?
Certainly. Yeah. So, yeah, I understand you've been going through some yellow highlighters,
Yeah.
going page by page through this draft to unpack it all. What are your overall impressions here before we dive into the details of the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yeah, I think my overall impression so far, and to be completely honest, this is a big bill. It's talking about really in-depth policy positions. So I'm not going to even, lie to our members here and be like, I know this bill front to back yet when we kind of talk specifics here in a minute, just to have full honesty here. But my big impressions from taking a look through this bill are just how thoughtful these offices and these senators really were and tried to be throughout this draft process. It's very, very clear to me that they put a lot of work into this, that they talked with other offices, that they talked with various committees, that they definitely talked with some agencies. And so I'm just really, really impressed with that and are really excited to, like you said, kind of get more and more into the weeds, if you will, on some of those details, knowing that it seems like they have been so thoughtful throughout this whole process. And I think that they were too, just given how long this took. It was a big joke that it took a long time, but I think that is just testament now to them wanting to get it right as much as they could.
Wow. Yeah, that's really encouraging. Thanks for sharing that. So, what else is going on in this bill that so far, I understand you're still digesting it all, but
Yes.
what's jumping out to you as being important for our cannabis industry operators? And are there any real concerns so far?
Yeah, so some of the things I want to flag for people, of course, again, it's been talked about how this bill removes cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act federally. But again, important to note that this bill does mention a lot about states' rights. And I think that they absolutely did that on purpose. It's definitely trying to message that to their Republican conservative colleagues, talking about states' rights, because when you remove cannabis from the Federal Controlled Substances Act, states still have the autonomy to create their own policies around it. So it does still allow for some states, let's say Idaho goes, no, we don't want it. They could still implement that policy. So for better or for worse, that's one of the things in the bill. Of course, the other big measure in the bill, and it's not just a big measure, this is one of the overarching themes of the entire discussion draft, is about restorative measures for people and communities who have been harmed by the war on drugs. We see them sussing that out in various different ways, things like automatic expungements, which I think are really important to highlight, just that word automatic there, and the again, the importance of that. Also, again, creating some of those opportunity trust funds that we've talked about. We've seen something similar to that in the MORE Act as well. Another thing, again, similar to MORE that this bill does is it has an end to the discrimination about federal public benefits. So things like housing or, tuition assistance, whatever that may be. And then, of course, moving over more into the regulatory sphere is shifting, federal cannabis jurisdiction over from the DEA, right? While it's an illicit substance right now, is transferring that authority, that enforcement authority over to the ATF, and then some of that regulatory authority over to the TTB as well as the FDA. And last but certainly not least, one of the ones I want to mention is just about the tax structure. This tax structure is markedly higher than the MORE Act. I'm sure that our committees and members and operators might have some thoughts and feelings on that. Of course, taking into consideration state and local taxes. It is a graduated tax level. It starts at 10%, 15, 20, going all the way up to 25. So that's something we're definitely going to be taking a closer look at and working with our chief economist here to see how viable that really is. But those are some of the quick highlights for what we've seen so far.
Wow. Yeah. A little bit of alphabet soup in there as well, I was hearing.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely no shortage of acronyms and alphabet soup when we're talking about cannabis or government agencies. That is for sure.
You got it. Yeah, that's really interesting. And I get that you and the other GR team in DC are still making your way through this bill, but this is good insight so far. So thanks for checking in and as always for you all keeping on top of all these movements in Congress. So I'm sure we'll have more to check in with you about soon.
Absolutely. We sure will. And it was great to chat with you as always. And want to remind our members again that we are putting that infrastructure in place to get some of your feedback and your own submittals about this legislation. So stay tuned. We will be getting in touch with you on all of our various channels about how you can do that. And I'm really looking forward to reading those personally.
That's right. We have a few weeks left because the deadline to submit public comment is September 1st. Great.
That's
all
correct.
right. So NCIA members, reach out to Michelle at thecannabisindustry.org or check it out yourself online. We have a blog that Michelle provided as well with more details.
Absolutely. Yep. Stay tuned. A lot of exciting stuff. Going to be a busy August recess this year. Not much recess.
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. Have a good one.
All right. Bye, Bethany.
All right. Well, check out Michelle's blog called Crazy for the CAOA. It doesn't really have the same ring as Safe Banking or the MORE Act, but read more about it in her blog nevertheless. And while we're focused on what's happening in the United States, it's important to stay up to date on what's happening around the world in cannabis policy reform. Our neighbors to the south are on the edge of legalizing cannabis for adults. There's no doubt that cannabis legalization in Mexico will create investment opportunities in the U.S. There are also many questions regarding how Mexico's cannabis legalization will affect the U.S. market. Learn more about Mexico's latest moves toward cannabis legalization in a blog from brand new NCIA members, Black Legend Capital. And remember to subscribe and tune in to both of our weekly podcasts, NCIA's Cannabis Industry Voice and NCIA's Cannabis Minority Report, which you can catch live on NCIA's Facebook page every Monday morning at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're a member of NCIA and you'd like to learn more about submitting educational blogs for our readers or being a guest on our weekly podcasts, please send me an email at bethany@thecannabisindustry.org to get the ball rolling. And it's time to start thinking about packing your suitcases, heading to the airport, checking into hotel rooms, and the whole 9 yards, since tickets are now on sale for the Midwest Cannabis Business Conference. The event takes place on September 22nd and 23rd in Detroit. Current NCIA members receive discounted or even sometimes free tickets to our trade shows thanks to our retooled membership levels and benefits I mentioned earlier. So head to www.midwestcannabisbusinessconference.com today. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to stay inspired and connected. If you're a member of NCIA, log in to NCIA Connect and spark up a conversation with your fellow NCIA members and colleagues today. We'll see you next week.